Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the Coaching Call podcast. On this podcast, we'll cover various types of coaching by trainers in sports, martial arts, fitness, and business. We'll discuss each coach's methods to getting the most out of their respective athletes or clients and how they attempt to change the platform in which they coach. Join us on a fun adventure as we discuss unique coaching styles. Coaching is a universal part of how we get others to get something done. Join your host, Rafael, and his guests on this unique journey in coaching.
Hi, I'm Sifu Rafael, and this is the Coaching Call podcast. If you enjoy this episode, please subscribe and leave a review. This episode was made possible by listeners like you. Dr. Cynthia, how are you? Good morning.
Good morning. I'm doing well. How are you doing, Sifu Rafael?
Exceptional, getting better every day. Yeah.
Good.
And I know it's super early for you, so I really appreciate you being here with us.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Excited to be here.
And I am the lucky one because I had you on my show this morning, Monday morning, for your book, right? And we talked a lot about your book that everybody, I believe, should pick up. And it kind of makes sense because today we're going to even talk about educational leadership with impact. And you surely have done that. But I really want to get into who you are because I think that my audience will want to, like I did, fall in love with you and your book. And I want to know, where were you born and who influenced you before the age of 10?
Okay. So I was born in Long Beach, California. My background is Filipino, so my parents immigrated from the Philippines through my dad was a U.S. Navy, so I was born in Long Beach. And then in terms of who influenced me, of course, my mom. She was the big person that impacted all of us in terms of my siblings. My dad was often gone away overseas and then coming back. So she was the heart of the family.
How many siblings do you have?
I have 4 sisters and 1 brother.
Ooh, lucky boy.
Yeah.
I also have 5 sisters, and I'm number 10 of 12.
Oh my gosh.
Small family, you know.
Wow.
We had a team.
It's great. Isn't that great to have so many siblings?
Yes. So, your mom influenced you. How would you say she influenced you?
She was always there for us. So whether it was school play, in elementary, in sewing costumes for us, going to the event, and then as I got into high school, middle school, high school, if there were issues, I would let her know I didn't like this one teacher, or I want out of this because they put me in this class. So she was there through that part of just advocating. Not a helicopter mom at all, but she trusted the system. But at the same time, she knew that as a mom, she was protective also. So that was huge. Yeah.
So would you say that you said your dad was gone because he was in the military? So your mom practically played both roles of mom and dad, kind of.
Absolutely. Yeah. And
Not
then
an
she would say,
easy
wait till your dad gets home.
There was none of that. Wait a couple of months till your dad gets home.
Exactly.
When you said that your mom was always there, and she was there supporting you guys, being at plays, talking to you about teachers. Was she emotionally supportive as well? Because I know a lot of parents with being so busy with all the kids and so forth, that sometimes they go, "Oh, you figure it out, you figure it out." And then, but that emotional support sometimes is lacking in some families.
I wouldn't say so much emotionally supportive. She just kind of expected us to, um, not so much just handle it, but for us to, as siblings, be able to support each other.
Mm,
Because she knew that she couldn't always be there as a mom because she's playing the role of mom and disciplining at the same time being, the center of the family and cooking and cleaning. But she also relied on all of us, and she would raise us and say, as well as my dad, um, protect each other,
mm,
be there, family first.
yes.
Yeah. And so even up until this day, we still are very close
Wow,
in
that's
terms
awesome.
of siblings. Yeah. Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
it's very cool.
Yeah, yeah. When you when past your elementary school years, when beside your mom, who would you say was someone else who influenced your life and even where you are today because of that person or those people?
Hmm. Okay.
Even
In
as a
term
teenager, even as a teenager.
Oh, okay. Even as a teenager, I think there's a lot of different teachers that I remember, whether it's high school, just that the ones that believed in me made a difference. Of course, we remember those that weren't there for us,
Right.
or that disciplined us in a way that I don't want to listen to you. But then there's also the ones that um, just were there even in college. Those professors that made a difference of reaching out and being there. Um, and yeah, I'm just thinking of all the different people, even in work,
Mhm.
how they impacted me and believed in me
Yeah.
when I thought, okay, I'm just a surgical aide at work. But they included me and think of me as, oh, I'm one of the team, and that makes a big difference.
Yeah. Yeah. That does make a difference. You
Yeah.
just for some reason, this thought, and I haven't had this thought in a long, long time. But you also talked about the ones that didn't influence you in a positive way. I had a teacher who walked into the bathroom. There was so much noise, and all I screamed out to the other kids, "Can you please keep it down?" Literally, those were the words. And in the middle of that scream, this teacher came in. He was an English teacher. He came and he punched me straight in the chest.
Oh
I
wow.
mean, and pushed me all the way back into the wall. And he told me to shut up. I was like,
Whoa.
whoa. I was in fifth grade, and this man, if you think of it, I'm a kid, this man comes and punches me. Later on, he must have realized what he did because he gave me a bag of chips. Like, that's gonna solve everything, right? I did not report him because I even at that young age, I understood that he realized his mistake. And
Wow.
I let it go, right? I didn't say anything. Yeah, I was hurt, but I wasn't hurt where I had to be, medical attention had to be. But it was a really solid he had a good punch, I have to say. But the fact that has happened, in the past, and it's not allowed anymore in the school system, thank God.
Yeah.
But I remember even back then when my dad was a principal of a school in Columbia.
Oh. Oh my
This
goodness.
is this is news for you, and my mom was a teacher in the same school. So what wound up happening is back in those days, teachers when I was in Columbia and even here, teachers used to hit you and it was okay. It was part of the way they treated this. I remember the teacher taking out the ruler and
Mhm.
hitting you across your knuckles and doing all these things. And I'm like, oh my God, thank God that's not around anymore
Gosh, yeah, no
or
kidding.
allowed, right? Do you have any idea when, or did that anything like that? Did you see it as a child going into from elementary school all the way to high school where there was any corporal punishment, if you will?
Not so much growing up as a child in the States. Um, because my dad was in the military, then I went from, different locations from California to Connecticut, back to California to the Philippines. But in the Philippines, they would hit us. But I didn't ever get hit. So I didn't get in trouble. But like you said, whether it's, hitting us on the head with a ruler or pulling somebody's ear,
Mhm.
um, um, slamming, just that um, physical threat to the students, um, they were allowed to do.
Yeah.
And I always thought, that's not going to be me.
Yes, of course. Um, it's very interesting where education has evolved, if you will,
Hmm.
because one of the things that we have to look at education today is AI, right? How AI is playing a part in education. And 10 years ago, even though AI was around, students were not using it to do their homework or to
Yeah.
do a paper or to write something, an essay or something. And so now the dynamics of being an educator has totally changed. And one of the things that I love about your book that it covers so many different aspects of the faculty, even
Hmm.
as far as even the custodians, the people who keep the place looking good, clean, and so forth.
Hmm.
Here's something that really is so fascinating to me. I've seen, and I'm sure you and a lot of our audiences have seen, that in Japan, the students are their behavior is so different. They clean up after themselves. They go to a stadium. They may make a mess during the game, but after the game, they'll stay later and clean up,
Hmm.
which is unheard of here in the States. People just leave a mess.
Hmm.
They make in Japan, because they're excited, they may make a mess, but then they stay afterwards, which is beyond what I've ever seen here in the States.
True. Yeah.
They clean up. Wow.
Amazing. Right. And all it takes
Yeah,
is
I
maybe
am
setting
wowed
that
by it.
example.
Yeah, I'm totally wowed by that.
Yeah. And I think you can definitely set that tone at a school if that expectation is also there, but it has to be, well, you can set it in your classroom, but at the same time, um, if you oversee a bigger portion, let's say administrator oversees a lot of this stuff, they can also help change that rule. Or again, like a teacher can say, okay, all of us need to stay after the game, and or the student government can stay after school or stay after the game and help clean up to make it faster.
Right.
Nobody leaves. Otherwise, the custodian has to clean up after everybody. Yeah.
It's, I grew up understanding the value that if I go somewhere, I want to leave it better than I entered it. And so even when I am at a dinner somewhere, I'm handing the dishes to the waiter. I'm cleaning my area up with a napkin into the dish and
Yeah.
handing the dishes, and they're like, "Oh, wow." Um, but a lot of times we forget that. I run a martial arts school, and I have a lot of equipment all over the place. And when the kids play with the equipment or they use it, I always make sure they put it back because
Hmm.
I could put it back easily,
Right.
and they're gonna be, "Oh, he's gonna put it away." So I always say to them, "If you used it, you have to return it." And I think we need to be able, and I love the fact that you said that even after a game or something, it should be the whole school should chip in, not just the administrators or the team. It should be
Hmm.
everybody.
Yeah.
Would
I
that
think
be
so
a
too.
would that be a better thing in our world?
Yes, absolutely. And as you were talking about that, I remember going to, as an adult, going to movies with one of my friends. And, movies are movies. You buy the popcorn, you get your soda, you sit down, you watch, and you eat your popcorn, and you put the stuff on the side when you're done, or leave it. After the movie was over, she got up and she picked up her bucket of from the popcorn and the soda, and I was used to just leaving it behind
Mm.
because that was just kind of what people do, right?
Right.
But when she picked it up, then I ended up I go, oh, okay, I don't usually do this, but I'll pick it up too, and realize, yeah, why not?
Mm.
Um, why not do it? It's my mess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like I said, an adult. I was already a teacher by then, and
Mm.
having somebody model that helped me model it.
Yeah. It's very interesting when we see things. One of the things that I tell all my instructors is I tell them, if you see a paper on the floor and you step over it, you're no longer an instructor. You're not teaching.
Mhm.
You stopped teaching that minute when you step over it. When you pick it up, you're teaching. You don't know who's looking, and you're teaching them to do the right thing. Because even when you're at the mall or you do something, if you see something and you just leave it on the floor, a lot of times I'll walk by something that the garbage can is like 4 feet away, and I see garbage on the floor before it. I pick it up and I throw it in the garbage, and people are like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Somebody missed the garbage can. They're not a good basketball player."
Mhm.
They didn't shoot
Mm.
it correctly, right? So, but I give people the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Recently, I, um, I gave somebody a ride, and I dropped them off at their house.
Mhm.
Now, across the street from their house was like a park, and there was a bottle that they had,
Hmm.
and instead of taking that bottle, they could have left it in my car. That would have been fine by me. They actually took the bottle and threw it in the grass area,
Yeah.
and then walked across the street to their own house that they own. And then I didn't say anything to them, but because it wasn't my place, but in my mind, I'm like, wow, how do you do that in your own neighborhood? What if
Right.
all your neighbors did that? What would that park look like? So it made me question where people's minds go when it's about doing the right thing. Because if everybody did the wrong thing,
Right.
we'd live in a really dirty world.
Right. And that's very interesting that you say that because it's not just taken to their house to be dealt with, but somewhere else. But it's somebody else's space too.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, yeah. But it was across the street from the house. But what
Right.
so I'm imagining, what would they do when it's not across the street from the house? Would it be worse?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I know we're getting from education to garbage, but I think that and the reason I brought this up is because as an educator, I believe that every action you take is educational. Because like I said, you never know who's looking. That
Right.
person did not realize I was looking,
Right.
right?
And that's a very good point. You and I, and people who are in education, um, we model for others that we don't even know we're modeling. Our behavior can be totally um, inappropriate, or it can be right, but in somebody else's eyes, we are part of the public eye. So every
Mhm.
action we take, um, or anything we say, um, we're modeling.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I admire you so much. Through your book, I got to learn more about you and the modeling that you did, um, making sure everybody was dressed properly for their role, right?
Hmm.
We did not expect a custodian to come to be a custodian in a tuxedo, but we didn't want the English teacher coming in their shorts either. right? Or flip-flops,
Right.
even though it was California, right?
Right.
Or a tank top. They should still dress the part of an educator. What is that part? What is an educator? How should they dress?
Well, I think it's very interesting question for me because when I was a teacher, I would wear t-shirts and jeans
Mm,
because I came out of college and that's my wardrobe, and I'm not making a whole lot of money. But as long as it's appropriate and decent, I'm not like you say, I'm not wearing a tank top. Um, but then again, I did work in the desert, so I did sometimes wear shorts.
right.
But when I wore shorts, I would also wear a lab coat because I was doing science. So I made sure that it wasn't totally casual.
Right.
Um, but being, um, what's the word? Um,
Inappropriate.
you don't have to dress up like in skirts
Right.
and where if you're on your feet all day long or and wear heels. Uh, that's not comfortable, especially when you're working with kids and we are running around.
Right.
So make sure you have the proper shoes and that you're just dressed professionally. Um, and then as you go higher up the ladder, um, dress a little bit more professional. It's one
Right.
step above.
Mm.
So that way um, you take your job seriously.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
I had a teacher, Mr. Kelly, English teacher. This gentleman was so dapper. He was always dressed really nice, always with a sports coat. Um, but even appropriate dresses. No, I don't believe any female should be dressed in mini skirts, right? Because it's inappropriate for schooling. I do not want, when my kids were 15 and 16 years old, I didn't want them to say, "Oh, my teacher's so hot; she's wearing a mini skirt every day,"
Mhm.
because then it's going to deter from why they're there, right? Um,
Right.
as an educator, and there's gangs related
Mhm.
situations that come up in every school. What are your thoughts on a uniform for even public school?
I think, for public school, I think it's fine if it's
If it,
part
it's not part of it now and it's not required, but do
right,
you believe it would be helpful?
especially when, like you say, when there's gangs and things like that. You want I want a safe school, and you can't necessarily require it um, unless unless the district says this is what we require. But there is it makes it more safe, in my opinion,
Right.
um, and it makes the school a little bit more united because you don't notice the difference of who's the haves and the have-nots, um, or who has the money and the means for certain clothing or materialistic things. So if one says, okay, the guys wear khakis, khaki color and a white collar polo shirt. Going out and buying it is one thing, but once they're at school, they don't have an issue because they look very similar to the colleagues, the
Right.
classmates.
Yeah. I have a friend who years ago his kids went to a school where they had to wear uniforms, and he goes, "I'm paying for the school, but it's so worth it because I'm not paying for extra clothing. I just buy them, 3 or 4 uniforms or 5 uniforms, and they wear that during the week, and we wash it on the weekends, and they go again, and I don't have to spend all this extra money on
Yeah,
all these different outfits and all this different things." And then I have another friend whose kid was going to a very, wealthy type of school, very popular school, one of the better schools in the neighborhood. And this poor girl was just wearing regular clothes, and a girl came behind her and pulled up and wanted to know what her label was,
Mm.
because they were saying that she, she didn't belong there because their family wasn't as wealthy as the other families, which was not true, by the way. It's just that the parents didn't feel like they had to buy their kids designer T-shirts.
Right.
And so and so my friend is like, "Oh my God, this is what my kid has to go through to be in this top school, because
Mm-hmm.
I wish they had uniforms so this wouldn't happen."
Oh yeah. Um, I find that very interesting. I think if the school doesn't require uniforms or a certain color of school colors,
Mhm.
then I think in terms of clothing, what's accessible in that neighborhood
Mm.
is the telling of that demographics. So if the closest store is, let's say, Kmart, then people will buy the clothes from Kmart. They'll buy the sweatshirts, the hoodies, t-shirts, and things like that. But if the closest stores are, it might be the premium outlets, or it might be a
Bergdorf
row of,
Goodman or something.
what's that? What's that?
Bergdorf Goodman,
Oh
right?
yeah, if it's one of those high-end stores, um, and another student buys their clothes from Kmart, they're going to be prejudged.
Mhm.
And it only, I think, in my opinion, it's what's accessible, because parents can't drive all over the place
Mhm.
to go buy these clothes. But if those stores are in those neighborhoods, those are the clientele. That's the clientele that they'll cater to.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Cynthia, talk to us about your choice to become an educator. How did that happen for
Actually, I didn't know I was going to go into education.
you?
Um, I thought I was going to go into the medical field. I studied biology, and I thought, okay, I'm going to go into physical therapy, or I'm going to go into just something in the medical field.
Mhm.
And when I graduated, my one of my best friends, he got a math degree and said he wanted to go into education. So I thought, oh, that's interesting. I never thought of that, but I was working with kids, and with high school kids at that time, because I was helping them fill out applications for college. Um, and I thought, oh, I could do that too. So then right after I graduated, I went into the teacher education program and got my single subject credential. And so I started teaching at the age of 23, biology and chemistry.
Wow.
I know, I just fit right in with the kids, and the kids are like 18 years old. And of course, like
Right.
I said, I'm wearing jeans and a t-shirt, but as long as I knew my boundaries of, they're the students, um, I'm here to teach them. Um, having that professional relationship, I just continue to stay with teaching. And
Mhm.
every time I remember seeing a reflection as I was teaching that year. I saw a cabinet that had a glass wall on it,
Right.
a glass covering, and I remember I saw my reflection in that, and I was wearing my lab coat, and I said, "Oh my gosh, I really am a teacher."
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Um, you could have stayed a teacher for your whole career. Why did you decide to go for more? What was the next step for you as a teacher?
It's funny because I just wanted to go up the salary schedule, because teachers get paid by how many units they have and how many years they have. And I just thought, oh, I'm going to go and get my master's, and I'll get my master's in education administration, and wasn't really thinking about what does that mean. Do I want to be an administrator? No, because I don't really know what they do.
Right.
I never got in trouble in high school, so I didn't know what an assistant principal did. I didn't even know what a principal did. Um, the closest thing that I saw was, what a teacher does. But then when I ended up getting my credential and my master's, one of the last classes that I took in that program was we have to create our resume and apply.
Wow.
And I thought, okay, I'll apply. Uh, and then I got an interview. And I had 2 interviews, and I thought, what am I doing? Do I really want to do this? And then one of my administrative friends said, Cynthia, just do it. You can always be a teacher. You can go back and teach. You're working now with teachers. If you don't like it, then go back, but do it. And so I did it and stayed with it. That first year was hard. That learning curve was hard. And then going from assistant principal to principal was also not as hard, but now it's everybody that I'm overseeing as opposed to just certain areas of the school.
Got it. Could you have gone into becoming a guidance counselor? What's the difference between the schooling for going to guidance counselor or assistant principal?
It's a different program. So that's usually like the school, the counseling credential. So some schools have that School of Ed, the counseling department.
Right.
Some have the administration pathway. And so I just chose that direction.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I could have, now that I think about it, but I didn't. I didn't know how to navigate.
Gotcha. Also, in your book, you had considered becoming a professor, and you did not. And in your book, you also said, "I'm just going to try for 3 years," but you stayed longer, right? Talk to us about those two decisions. One, not to go to become a professor, and then the other one, why did you stay longer than 3 years?
I wanted to become a professor because I wanted to work with administrators. There was something in one of my trainings that really impacted me, and I thought, I want to teach that. I want to be able to talk about culture. I want to talk about race, ethnicity, who we are, and how do we bring that up if it's not, if they don't get it going into a program or coming out of a program, they're at the school site and have never been exposed to it.
Right.
So I wanted it to be part of a class that I would teach because I'm inspired to teach it. And that's where I wanted to take it. And so I ended up getting my doctorate in that. It was in international and multicultural education. And yeah, I thought, I'm going to teach this. And so one of my professors said, okay, Cynthia, we have openings. There's a position now open for in our department. You might want to consider applying. And she was the dean of that department. Or I think she was the dean at that time. And I thought, okay, I'm going to apply. And then at the same time, another professor said, but Cynthia, if you want to have credibility in front of students, in front of others, being assistant principal is okay, but the credibility is if you become a principal, then you have a little bit more authority in teaching those courses, because it would be in educational leadership classes. And I thought, okay. And then when I went back to my other professor and explained it and said, oh yeah, Professor B said, do it this way. And she said, you don't have to wait. You don't have to become a principal to teach at the university. It's just, I'll let you teach now. So she let me teach some classes. But when I had turned in that application to be a professor, somebody from another district had said, Cynthia, there's a principal position that is open. You might want to consider applying or come apply. And I thought, uh-oh, now what do? I just turned in my application for the university. And do I do what the other professor said to do, which is go back and be a principal before going and teaching. And so I took the advice of the second professor and became a principal. But when I told my Professor A what I decided, she said, that's a smart move. She goes, yes, stay with that. Then, you can always come back. You can always reapply at the university. And I thought, thank you. Thank you. But then, so when I applied for that position as a principal, I had told the superintendent, he asked, "What's my plan? What's your 3 to 5 year plan?" And I said, I plan to be here for, you know, my plan is I want to be at the university. I'll be totally transparent. I want to be at the university. Um, I'm here to be a principal, but I don't know for how long, 3 years or so. And he goes, "Well, I would like for you to be here for at least 3." And I thought, okay, I could do those 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years. Easy
Yeah,
peasy.
easy 3 years. That first year is always the hard part. But then he ended up leaving, and then I decided I would stay, and then I stayed for another additional 2 years. So total of 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
But you never went to become a professor. Why? I'm going to ask you right out flat.
Sure. Why? Yeah, that's a good question. In 2019, and that's when I retired from being a principal. But how that led or how that happened was my dad was ill, and so I said, okay, my dad would say, retire early. I did it in the military. I did 20 years, retired, and I did another 20 years and retired. And I thought, okay. My dad said, you might want to consider retiring early, and then you can get a second career. So that was before he got sick. And I kept thinking, okay, I'm going to retire early. I'm going to retire early. And when he got sick in 2019, then I found a job at the university. And I was also teaching with those a group of students. So I already had my foot in the door at the university. So I was at USF, I was at UC Berkeley, and I mean, UC Berkeley already has its renowned name. And so I thought, okay, I'm here and I'm enjoying this. But then the pandemic hit.
Right.
And now it's 2020. So we all went on Zoom and had these classes. And then I ended up being at the University at Cal State East Bay, which is a little bit closer to my home.
Right.
And I still work there. So I'm still at the university, but in different capacities as an adjunct faculty. So I work with Cal State East Bay, California State University East Bay. I also work with Notre Dame de Namur, which is a private university. And they're both with educational leadership or working with teachers. So I'm still doing the work at the university level, able to talk about courageous conversations and meeting the needs of those students, and working part-time, which is like, this is great.
Yeah, you're living the dream, right?
Yeah, I really am.
I'm going to come back with a couple of more questions for you, but let's take a quick look at this.
Okay.
You followed the rules, tried the restrictions, counted the carbs, the steps, and the failures. You're not lazy, you're exhausted from doing it all without real change. What if the problem isn't you, but the plan? Sifu's Mind-Body Method is a 90-day transformation built on 7 unshakable pillars: mindset, movement, nutrition, hydration, fasting, journaling, and faith. This isn't another shortcut. It's your structure, your strength, your reset. You don't need harder, you need better. Ready to begin? Start today. There you go. Helping some people out, right?
Yeah, I love it.
Basis. Dr. Cynthia, you wrote this book, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when I first told you, when we had the conversation the other day, I said to you, it's not even about school leadership, even though this is a school leadership book, and I think everybody should get one, especially if you're an educator, because I saw all the leadership lessons that you gave us in this book. Why are those leadership lessons so important for anyone, whether they're in as an educator or in business?
Why are they important?
Yes.
Well, first of all, to be a leader, you have to know yourself. Because if you don't know who you are you a leader or are you a follower? And if you lead, then you need to lead with purpose, um, and confidence. So people will follow or will be influenced. Um, and you can make an impact if you have your why in place, which is so important. And it doesn't matter where you lead. You can lead from the front, you can lead from the back, um, just as long as you know the people that you're serving, and you don't leave anybody behind, but you can still, trail the way in the front.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. So know yourself to be a good leader, to be a good educator.
Hmm.
Can you rediscover yourself as you're doing the work?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that's so important too, um, because we all change and we all grow, and if we don't reflect on who we are and where we want to go, then every day is just going to be mundane, and we just go through the motions. So we have to be able to reflect on that.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. So when we are looking at maybe we're getting into the education world, we are deciding to become a teacher. We're deciding to go to the next level of our education, as maybe we are looking to become an assistant principal or we're moving up to be a principal. Um, how does this book help someone?
Thanks for asking that question. The book is really for anybody that's going into education or supporting people in education. So whether you're a teacher, thinking about uh, moving to that next step, kind of like what I did, what does one need to know going in? Because like I said to you, Sifu Rafael, I didn't know what assistant principals did. I didn't know what a principal did. And then when I was in that role, I didn't know what if a kid does drugs, what does a drug smell like? I don't know what weed
Mm,
smells like. I don't even know how to
mm,
discipline a kid that did something wrong, brought a knife to school, brandished a knife, whatever it might be. I didn't know any of that. And you can imagine, being a teacher, we're in the classroom and we're teaching and we know the content. But as an administrator, we were learning all these things that weren't part of the education program of going into administration. So the book itself is for anybody that might be going that direction into higher levels in education, and for anybody that might have bypassed it. So they might have gone from teacher, now they're at the district office and are supporting principals, but really never held a site position as a principal or assistant principal, but at least they could
mm,
have the background knowledge, because again, that becomes a confidence issue.
mm,
I've worked and coached people at the district level who never were a site administrator, and they said, I'm supposed to support these principals and I don't feel confident. And I said, that's all
mm.
in your head.
Right.
Step out of that. You're chosen for that position. You applied for that position. Obviously you have the knowledge of what you should be doing. And don't think of it as a position, but understand what their role is. And I go, you can read the book and have a bigger understanding of what that looks like, so that way you can have other conversations around it.
Mm,
Um, so I think at the district level, the county level, the national level, um, universities. So
yeah,
I
yeah.
think that book um, can go in all kinds of directions. And then, like you had mentioned, it's not just in school leadership. There's that whole first section is on leadership and knowing yourself, which is so huge.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say that your book is more like a blueprint,
Mm.
if you will.
Mm.
It's a guide on what to do. It even talks about how to do fundraising, how to talk about finances, because As an educator, you're not going to go if you're teaching reading or math or science or any subject. Your job is not to go and find money for the school, but when you get to the administrator section, then it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
As a principal, you got to find ways to hit the budget, right?
Right.
How tough is that?
It's tough. That was like that learning curve for me was was a big learning curve going from assistant principal to principal. Um, the school site that I became principal, they said we have to know the budget and
Mm,
know how to use the budget code and knowing all the categorical funds that are from the federal, from the state,
mm,
and it's this long 18 digit, I'm gonna say 18 digits or 16 digits, um, that we had to know. It's like 000, 001,
mm,
whatever. And then if it has to do with classroom material, um, it's one kind of budget. Or if it's for um, after school programs, it might be another. And then also looking at grants, applying for grants, and then working with the PTO and saying, hey, our band needs their marching band uniforms dry cleaned. Um,
mm,
who dry cleans them? Do we have a dry cleaner? Can we get a dry cleaner? Or can we have them replaced? It's
mm.
20 years old. I mean, things like that that we don't even think about. Or the curtains on the stage have been there for 50 years. Um, can that get replaced? Little things of that kind of budget. Is it a priority, not a priority? Um, Desk need to be replaced. How do we replace desk? How do you um, replenish supplies? So that's huge in terms of budget and raising money.
I can only imagine there's so many different avenues that a principal has to consider. I mean, the lunchroom, right? Food coming in, prepping, the right people being there, the custodial team, the English department, all the different departments that you have.
Mhm.
Um, how'd you do it?
So there's staff that are part of the district
Mm,
that are hired through the district and then are placed at the school, which I didn't know really.
mm,
I mean, I know that there's departments, but let's say there's operations and maintenance. That's the custodial crew, the grounds, and all that. That's another part of the district. They do the hiring, and then they place them at the school site.
mm,
Um, and as an administrator, am I their evaluator? Not necessarily, but I'm going to have to work with them because they oversee the school. The
right.
custodian knows so much.
Yeah.
The cafeteria person knows a lot also because they see the kids in a different way than teachers do or administrators or counselors do. Um, so working with the the custodial crew, the cafeteria crew who are not um, hired through me, but through the district. It's so important to build those relationships because they are a huge part of the school. And then, of course, working with the faculty and staff that I already have,
Mhm.
whether they're the paraprofessionals or the instructional aides or the teachers, counselors, um, the admin team. You just have to build those important relationships.
Right, right. I remember a lot of my friends were in different teams. There was one for the yearbook, another one was a debate team, a chess team, golf, tennis, whatever it was. All the different activities that are going on in a school. It truly, truly is a campus. Even though a lot of people just think I'm just going to English, I'm just going to math, I'm just going to another subject, or I can't wait to get out of school. But a lot of times there was so many after school activities that I even participated in because I was on different teams.
Mhm.
How long is a school open for?
Good question. It can be as early as 6:30, when the custodian gets there to turn on everything, put the flag up, and then till they're done. So it can go till 10 o'clock at night. But if there's an event that's happening on campus, then let's say, the fields are rented by someone, or the gym is being used for a school dance, it could be open for a long period of time. I mean, the regular bell schedule would be most people leave around 4:30, 5 o'clock. But like you're saying, those after school programs, the teachers are there, then some teachers stay till 10, and or meetings are going on.
You said something that the custodian comes in and puts the flag up.
Hmm.
Is that a daily occurrence? And that means that if they put it up, that means the night before they had to take it down.
Right.
Why? Is it vandalism?
I think it just protects the flag.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. We need to protect the flag, right?
Right.
I'm also, if you will, a foreigner. I came when I was 8 years old, and I'm Colombian.
Hmm.
And to me, this is my country, right? If I had to go fight for my birthplace or US, I'm fighting for US all the way
Hmm.
because I feel this is my country. I've been here so long,
Hmm.
that my alliance is with the US,
Hmm.
even if we had to go fight my country.
Hmm.
You know,
Right.
because I've gained so much from being here, right?
Hmm.
And the crazy thing is that when I was, I think 10 or 11, my parents told me that I can get my citizenship through them. I refused,
Mm.
which is kind of weird, right? But at 18, I went and did it on my own
Oh, okay.
because I didn't want it to be a gift. I wanted to work for it. I don't know. I'm a little strange bird, if you will. So I wanted to make sure that I received it because of my efforts, not because I was just riding along with my parent. That makes
Okay.
any sense.
That's interesting. Yeah. Very interesting that you waited and went through that process.
Oh, it wasn't an easy process necessarily. I had to go on lines, I had to go through tests, I had to do all these different things. But at home with my parents, I would have just had to say yes. That's all I would have had to say. But I said no.
Were you glad you waited?
I'm sorry?
Were you glad you waited?
Yes, yes, I am. Because it taught me something, right? And for me, every day, and when you asked me earlier, how am I doing? Exceptional and getting better every day because every day I'm looking to learn. I'm a continual learner.
Hmm.
Without learning, I will be bored out of my mind.
Very true.
Yeah,
That 1% change, right?
yeah, yeah. Sometimes it's a tenth of a percent, but it's still worth it. Still worth it to me. What are you looking to accomplish with the book that you wrote? And by the way, this is not a light book. It's over 400 pages, and it's a great read. I think this is a book that people have to have available so they can pick it up and go back to it over and over again. This is not a once and done read type of book. I think this is a book that you refer to, that you
Hmm.
go, because as I showed you the other day, I marked this book because these were the things that stood out to me, right? Like this one right here, take time to listen to others, right? Acknowledge faculty and staff. And that goes for anybody. As an entrepreneur, I have to acknowledge my clients. I have to acknowledge the people who help me serve my clients. So when it says that, yeah, you
Hmm.
can take it and make it your own, but I
Hmm.
think that those lessons are lessons that we can go back to over and over.
Hmm. Hmm. Very true. Um, so going back to the question you asked me, what do I hope to accomplish with the book?
Yes, by writing the book even.
But okay, well, both.
Both, yeah.
I wanted to be a mentor. So I wrote it not for my sake per se. I mean, I learned a lot as I wrote it, but to mentor those that don't have access to this. So if they don't go back to school, but they get promoted in a position, they have a book that they can refer back to. Or if they, I'm hoping if it goes to the university, that they'll use it so that way people are aware of the duties. Because like I said, I didn't know my administrators because I didn't usually get in trouble. Um, I don't even know what they look like from when I was in high school. So just explaining like some of those hard lessons of what people can do. And then, like you say, it's not one that it's not a book that you just read it like a fictional book and then put it away or give it away. It's something that can be referred to. I mean, there's a lot of me being vulnerable of mistakes I made or things I learned from what I did wrong. But there are also things I learned about how to make it a better place by being the example. Yeah, so I want that book to be a mentor
Yeah.
for as many people that read it.
Yeah. You know, one of the things that as an avid reader, one of the things I buy 100 books every year and I give them away. Right? And I buy different kinds of books. And when I pick up a book, I'm not the author of that book, but I take my pen, I put my name on it, and I put the date. And the reason I do that is because I learned this from someone. Because then afterwards, you're going to tell them if you have value from this book, share it with somebody who you know would benefit. Right? And then all of a sudden, there's going to be a bunch of names on this book. I don't think I'm going to do that with this one. I'm going to hold on to this because you send me this book and I value that and I appreciate you sending it over. And it does have your signature on it. And for me, that's so valuable. And I'm so grateful for that. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And thank you so much for reading the book and giving me feedback on it. That means a lot to me.
Absolutely. So we're wrapping it up at this point. I'm going to put your information going across the bottom. It is your LinkedIn, right?
Yes.
Cynthia.rapaido.ed. Dash D, right? What can somebody expect when they connect with you? Because I know you are a mentor, you're a coach, you help people. Maybe they're just starting or they're already in it, but they need some guidance.
They can definitely reach out to me and connect with me. So whatever way that I can help them navigate certain things, whether it's advice or just a soundboard. I think it's always good to connect. So yeah, I would welcome people to reach out to me, and I can give them my thoughts if they would like.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you.
Everybody, make sure you reach out to Dr. Cynthia. What a wealth of knowledge and your passion definitely shows. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, this was great.
Absolutely. I had a blast, getting to know you. We had 2 shows in the same week. How lucky am I?
I know it's been fun.
It has, and I'd love for you to come on some of my other shows. Just hang on for a minute when we say goodbye to everybody, and everybody, do me a favor, share this show because you know somebody needs to hear what we spoke about today. So go ahead and share it, and we will see you next time. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.